Kester Abraham Cranchi, it reads that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has signed a memorandum of understanding with Centio Group Limited to accelerate large-scale agro-processing, value addition, and fertilizer manufacturing in Ghana. The MOU provides a framework for developing industrial-scale processing plants for key commodities such as cashew, maize, rice, soybean, and oil palm. It also integrates packaging, quality control, storage, and export systems to strengthen Ghana's competitiveness in the global market. In addition, the partnership includes the creation of a national fertilizer manufacturing plant and integrated input supply to reduce Ghana's heavy dependence on imported fertilizer and ensure a stable, affordable supply for farmers nationwide. Now, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, signed on behalf of the government, or the group chairman of Centio Group, Ningquan Chu, signed for the company. Now, the agreement aligns with President Mohammed's vision of repositioning the country from a raw commodity exporter to a fully integrated agro-industrial economy. At the core of the partnership is the establishment of modern agro-processing facilities. I'm looking for timelines, right? So, under the 2026 national budget, the government allocated 272,000 tons of fertilizer for nationwide distribution. The Central Partnership is expected to complement these, and so it's all good, but I am yet to see timelines. I said the story continues on page 16, but still no clear date as to when mobilization and all of that happens. It's great. I mean, I was saying that we've been refining crude in this country for a very long time. Fertilizer is one of the fertilizer for
the things that we
it's one of the byproducts you can actually get from
flaring gas.
Yes, from the refining of crude, and so for a very long time we've not. It appears we haven't taken advantage of that, and we've consistently been on the receiving end in terms of imports. There's great import dependency, and so when the Russia-Ukraine war hit in 2022, that was one of the big talking areas for not just Ghana but the entire world, that we will not get fertilizer for our agricultural inputs. So this is in the right direction. I almost always have the challenge with timelines as to, this is fantastic, when is it coming on stream? Yes, we signed the MOU. Then timelines are coming through so that we can begin to realize all of this as well.
So page 9 of the New Finder newspaper says that sub-Saharan Africa's growth holds at 4.1% according to the World Bank, and they're warning, and it's literally telling us that the issues around the Middle East, Iran, Israel, and the United States will come to affect us. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has cautioned that the ongoing conflict in the Middle East will drag global economic growth lower as disruptions to oil and gas supplies trigger strain trade flows and tighten financial conditions. This is what they have told us. This is what we don't understand around here. They say, oh, how can they jump A, B, C, D? But we said it in the past. Didn't we say that in the past? So why is it different now? Why? If we said it in the past and now it is happening now and we are saying it, why is it different? Well, maybe I don't know.
It's a daily reminder to check crude prices, and so this morning there's a marginal drop as we speak, from $103 per barrel. We're now down to below 100 at 98.
Charlie, but we have to also ask the question about the ceasefire and how many days is left for the 14 days to elapse.
That's a very important question, yes, because even when the ceasefire is in place, the U.S. says they are sending mine destroyers into the Strait of Hormuz to deal with all of the landmines that Iran has planted in the waterways, which is having them have a stranglehold on the strait, and they said they are going to, on their own, cause a blockade outside of Iran's blockade, such that they will stop tanks and ships which pay any money to Iran.
Why is Donald Trump doing this? And let me not say what I want.
Yeah.
Why is Donald Trump doing this? Why?
It continues to be a subject matter of great disturbance. Great disturbance. But yeah, that's the latest in terms of keeping up with global trends and the war. Crude is down by minus 0.65%. But if you've monitored the market, you realize that this doesn't say anything at all, right? It doesn't say anything at all, and we could be back into the hundreds any moment from now in terms of prices. And why are we seeing what we're seeing today, this $97 per barrel on Tuesday, reversing the gains from the previous session, as reported, indicated by the US? Because they are considering further negotiations aimed at securing longer-term ceasefire before the current 2-week truce expires. And President Trump stated that Tehran had initiated contact with Washington, while Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian signaled readiness to pursue continued dialogue, provided it remains within the bounds of international law and regulations. Both sides failed to reach a deal after 21 hours of negotiations early on, is what we know. It will be interesting to as well know from the government's perspective, we're 2 days away, what the decision is on tariffs and possible taxes which are coming off the price build-up of petroleum products ahead of Tuesday. We still quite haven't gotten that yet. But this morning as well, I think we should be getting into a bit more into the details as to the latest from UTAG, and perhaps get a reaction from one or two in relation to the Black Stars as well. But UTAG is demanding that the Director General and Deputy Director General of GTEC, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, be relieved of their current roles in order to restore confidence in the tertiary education sector and reset regulatory posture. What is the basis for this request? And why are they seeking to have the GTEC boss removed? They are making a number of demands, which include government must urgently operationalize the Education Regulatory Body Act 2020 through a clear and unambiguous legislative instrument, including mandatory consultative rulemaking, clear limit on interference, and internal governance as well.
Look, I don't think that UTAG is properly positioned to make this call. Professor Jinapo, that I know from the Central Region, having headed formative education unit at Central Region, is no mean an academic. Since Professor Jinapo came, and we have had people who have come to the fore to say, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. He's fact-checked them, and most of them have stopped using those titles. Why does University Teachers Association of Ghana think that at this point they have to step up and ask that they should be replaced? Replaced with who and for what?
Well,
I'm
coming. It's a question
No,
we'll take to them because they've joined us on the phone lines right now.
Don't block me. Let me finish, then they can answer. I'm asking. My first question is why must we take Professor Jinapo off? People are in this country proclaiming that they are doctors and professors when they are not. He came to open our eyes and told us that they are not indeed. And the people have, after he called them to order, stopped using those titles. Why must UTAG come then and come and tell them? Are we saying that those of us who are pursuing whatever we are pursuing, Mariana, you and I, should now be happy with people taking onto themselves what they don't have. Is that what UTAG is saying? I want to hear UTAG's answer. People work in this country, call themselves Prof, Doc, and they don't have that. This man has come, he's working across regimes, and he says that I want to make sure that if you have not academically earned that, you do not use that. What is wrong with that? Let's UTAG answer.
Right, let me get onto the phone lines right now. Dr. Jerry Joe Hansen is General Secretary UTAG, is joining us via the phone lines this morning. Doc, good morning to you. I trust that you're well.
Good morning. I am very well, thank you.
Great. What is the basis of UTAG's decision or this request to have Professor Jinapor removed from his position along with his deputy? What's the justification of the University Teachers Association of Ghana on a request like this?
Well, thank you very much, and let me say a very good morning to our listeners. Before I answer your question, let me quickly just respond to what your panelists just said. I think that it's misleading to create the impression that UTAG is saying that because Prof. Jinapor and his deputy are calling out people who have fake degrees or whatever titles, UTAG is against them for doing that. I think that nobody has made any statement, to that effect to warrant that kind of comment. I think that when people are coming to make commentary on issues, they should stick with the facts. We released a press statement. In the press statement, we categorically indicated why we think that these roles are not fit for the office. And so let's not people sit on radio and try to throw dust into people's eyes by claiming what UTAG has not claimed. But let me go to the point that, you see, there was an attempt to hand over the university management to politicians in what has now become the infamous Public Universities Act, which universities across the country rejected categorically. Now, this was back in 2019, thereabout, when COVID struck and people were trying to survive. This bill, which has come to be called Act 1023, the Ghana Education Regulatory Act, whatever, came into being, that consolidated GTEC, consolidated the then Accreditation Board and the National Council for Tertiary Education into GTEC. And the first person to man that office was Professor Stalifu, whose deputy incidentally happened to be Ahmed Jinapor. Now, in there are functions that were attributed to GTEC, because don't forget, the NTC was performing some functions and Accreditation Board was performing some functions. Nobody within UTAG circles has questioned the capacity of GTEC to be the sole institution to accredit programs in this university. Everything we have said, nobody has questioned the accreditation regime that GTEC undertakes. What we have taken exception to is that under the law, there are regulatory roles that are assigned to GTEC. There are accreditation roles. There are advisory roles that have been assigned to GTEC. What appears to be happening is that the people who are currently at the helm of affairs are confused as to what constitutes regulatory authority and what constitutes advisory authority and all that. And so what they are doing is that instead of following proper governance procedures in communicating and performing their regulatory functions, they have substituted themselves to be the governing councils of universities, issuing instructions to individuals and people within the higher educational space, encroaching on the autonomy of universities that is enshrined in the Constitution and which no act of Parliament can remove. And that is why we are saying that to the extent that these actions of removing people from office, demoting people, deciding whether people should be hired and not, does not constitute regulatory power. It is micromanaging of institutions, which impinges on the autonomy of institutions. And we've tried very hard to point out to them that under the law, GTEC has no power to sanction anybody, and that if they are invoking their regulatory authority, then the governance procedure that's been prescribed in at 1023 is that GTEC must write or recommend to the minister for the minister to issue whatever instructions thereof. GTEC has no power to reverse the decision of any university council, and that if GTEC thinks that a university council has taken a decision that is contrary to any of the laws in this country, it is their job to write to the council and point out to them their mistakes and give them a chance to correct their mistakes. Imagine BOG waking up and withdrawing licenses of financial institutions in this country in the morning, and then the next day restoring them just because they have issued instructions that those companies have not obeyed. Just imagine how that's the chaos that's going to cause. This is what is happening. We have a whole University of Cape Coast, Volta Technical University, have their accreditations withdrawn at the whims of these individuals. How is that governance? Do you think that two individuals should be able to sit there and invoke the accreditation status, virtually removing the degree or making redundant or useless the degrees that people have earned from these universities, not because they are not duly accredited, but because somebody's ego needs to be massaged? Can you imagine how this country is going to be?
When you say egos being massaged and these specific matters, I want us to get into the specifics as to the encroachment that you speak of. And you've also said the revoking of accreditation licenses of universities. In what instances have we seen this play out? Because I'm going through right now the Education Regulatory Bodies Act, which includes GTEC, and trying to look at the functions and what is expected of the Director General of GTEC.
My brother, last year, the Vice Chancellor of University of Cape Coast was deemed to be 60 years at the time that his contract was renewed, and that under the statutes of the University of Cape Coast, he wasn't qualified to remain in office. I acknowledge that that constituted a breach. Now, what did GTEC do? Instead of writing to the council of the university, telling them that by your own statutes, this individual whose birthday occurs after the academic year, for which reason he, under the regular arrangement, would retire the subsequent year, and the office holding, that consideration is not applicable. And so reverse your decision and put somebody in charge and all that. They didn't do that. August Lokulu signed a letter directing the Vice Chancellor then to hand over to his deputy. That, my brother, constitutes a breach, whether the council's decision was right or not.
But isn't GTEC the regulatory body and must ensure that the right thing is done? If in this same conversation you admit that indeed the Vice Chancellor had reached retirement age, the University Council was not taking action, what stops the regulatory body from writing to the university and saying, take action, or we take action on your behalf?
My brother, that's exactly the point I'm saying. It is not for GTEC to tell the guy to hand over. It is for GTEC, because they are supposed to ensure that the statutes and everything, the systems, the way the act says, they are supposed to ensure that these systems that have been put in place function. How do you ensure the system functions? The system functions by you writing to the university saying that this person, that person, based on records we have available, have attained the mandatory retirement age. Their continued existence in office constitutes a breach of the law, and so council take a decision on that. That is what you do. What I'm saying is that you do not write to the person occupying that office who you didn't appoint in the first place and instruct him to hand over to his deputy. We are saying that that constitutes a governance breach. Okay? We are not saying that GTEC has no power to write to the council and ask them to do the needful. But it is not right for GTEC to write to the individual who has been appointed by a council duly constituted by law, for him to hand over to his deputy. They have no powers to do so. And on top of that, because the council, you see, there's a process. So, because the council didn't comply immediately, UCC's accreditation was withdrawn, all right, overnight.
What he wrote to the council subsequently. There wasn't a response.
I'm saying, my brother, the procedure is there. I'm saying that you don't write a letter that Augustine Klug came before even writing to the council. I'm saying that
which has been established, and you've rightly mentioned that was a governance misstep. He subsequently wrote to the council. Was it not after the council failed to respond?
You have already asked the guy to step down without, because you disrespected the council by not giving them the chance to do what they're supposed to do. So what is the point of writing to the council to do what? But that is not even all. You see, because the council was delaying, they withdrew the UCC's accreditation. On the portal of GTEC, the list of accredited institutions did not include the University of Cape Coast. He threatened to withhold the salaries of workers in contravention to every labor law you can make reference to. Which regulator in his right senses says that I'm going to withhold your salaries because your boss is misbehaving? I mean, explain to me how you can justify the withholding of salaries of cleaners, okay, and groundsmen just because their bosses are not doing what is right. I am telling you that these are clear breaches of not just law, but procedure, which cannot be countenanced. And it is not just this one. Volga Technical University, the same thing happened because of a standoff between the leadership of GTEC and the university. Accreditation of the university was withdrawn. On what justifiable basis? Do you think that we should allow individuals to accredit and disaccredit institutions based on their own egos? Is that what we want in this country?
Have you picked up this matter? Have you picked up this matter in relation to the systems that exist? And I'm asking this because we're talking about governance missteps. So I asked the question, within the architecture and the framework within GTEC, have UTAG picked up this matter and raised it to demand an explanation and an answer as to why these governance missteps have continued in the way they have?
My brother, on many occasions, call VCG Ghana today. That's UTAG. It is not only UTAG that has even engaged GTEC in these matters. We have engaged GTEC together with the Vice Chancellor's Ghana on all these issues that we have raised. Okay? It is not that we woke up one day and decided that now, these people, we don't like them, we should go. We give us some credit. We are academics. We are reasonable people. And I'm saying that it's not just for a year or for 2 years. For as long as I've known, every time these matters have come up, we have engaged. Sometimes you get insults for raising legitimate questions.
Insults from who?
From them. I mean, it's on the record.
What you're saying? You're saying that the GTEC boss, Professor Jinapor, insults UTAG when you make demands or ask questions of him?
On many occasions, disrespected UTAG for stating contrary opinion to how they are doing their things. Yeah. I'm not afraid to say that because I've been in some of those meetings where those comments were made, where those postures were clearly exhibited.
Right, Doc, it's because I'm hammering on the insult bit, because you mentioned insult specific. For attitude and all of that, I wasn't there. I cannot obviously explain or narrate how it was. But when you say insult, you mean the GTEC boss openly insult and disrespect University Teachers Association of Ghana and their assigns in meetings seeking to address matters on governance misstep by GTEC?
My brother, I am going to put it on the record that on many occasions when we try to express contrary views on how these governance issues are being dealt with, we have been scornfully treated as UTAG. Scornfully treated as UTAG. And it is because of that, all that has been part of why, as we speak, agreements that we've reached with GTEC on how things should be done have not been signed. Call Jinapor right now and ask him, after VCG and UTAG met and discussed modalities on how we think that we should govern the higher education space, how we can collaborate and all that, and the agreement that we reached, whether GTEC has signed it, whether it has been operationalized, ask him, is that respect? After we've all sat down at a round table, discuss these matters in relation to how we can ensure that there's harmony on our campuses and how we can collaborate.
How long ago was this agreement that you signed? Because
I'm not saying agreement. I'm saying that we discussed and agreed on something that they needed to sign to operationalize, and they haven't.
Right. How long ago was this?
Was last year.
And the expectation would have been that it would have been rolled out by now.
I am saying that we had timelines. You see, when all these things were happening, we felt that, look, let's come together and have a framework within which we can all exist. Nobody's saying GTEC should not regulate higher education institutions. Nobody's saying that some institutions are not doing the wrong things. Nobody has said that. But within there's a structure that needs to be followed. We all sat down and discussed these issues and reached agreement, not just discuss the matter, and we reached agreement. We drafted the proposals that we had all agreed. All that needed to have happened was for GTEC to sign so that we can begin to have a structured way of interacting and making sure that when issues arise, we can deal with them. They haven't signed it. If call them and let them say that I am lying.
Right, Doc, would it be fair to say that all of this is because UTAG is simply displeased with the fact that someone has been able to call them out? A vice chancellor wanting to overstay, Professor Jinapo writes to the person directly and says, you can't stay, that's not practice. You're only getting back at him because he's seeking to insist that the right things be done. And UTAG, you're not pleased with it. That's why you're making this demand and issuing a 14-day ultimatum to government to sack him.
Not at all, my brother. The issues we raised, this is just one of the issues that we raised. We raised issues about post-retirement contract. You see, the university council, the university knows whose expertise it needs at any point in time. And that is why the governing councils have been given the power to make these determinations. And it is for administrative reasons that GTEC is supposed to sign off on it. When these documents get there, GTEC now decide that this person we don't want, this person we don't want, and all that. My brother.
What has been the collaboration on that?
No, I'm saying that we've only discussed one aspect of the many issues that we have.
Which we're getting into the second issue. And for every issue, I like for us to understand how things are done. So yes, the universities know which lecturers they need and will want to give post-retirement contracts, but GTEC has to sign off. When you take it there and you say, the professor says, this person I don't want, that person I don't want, has it not always been the practice, because you just told us that he signs off on those post-retirement contracts?
Well, you see, what I'm saying is that you must understand the issue of procedure, because there's a way of communicating with government. It goes through GTEC. But GTEC doesn't have the power to decide who qualifies or who doesn't, because this is a condition of service that has been duly negotiated by UTAG with government, okay? At which table GTEC is always invited. So what I'm saying is that, see, on university councils, GTEC serves. GTEC is serving on every university council to provide the regulatory oversight over there. So if a university council taking a decision that constitutes a breach of the regulatory framework within which they are supposed to act, it is their GTEC rep on the council who's supposed to draw the attention of council to that decision. That is why if that council ends up making a wrong decision, GTEC would have the mandate to write to the council and explain to the council this and that and that and that. And so because of A, B, C, and D, your decision violates rule number so and so. So kindly retrace your steps. We are saying that it is not proper in terms of governance for GTEC to say that, well, this council took a decision A, I have reversed it because it is not consistent with regulation. That is a major flaw that we are saying, and we're saying that we've engaged GTEC on these matters to no avail.
Right.
We are only saying that
I just want to take you back. I just want to take you back briefly on the point you just made, that he withdraws the decision of the university's council because it doesn't fall in line with regulation.
That's
or that is what he says. Is it the case, or that is what he says? Is what I want us to clear out of the way, because there's a difference in if what he says is actually wrong and it is not what the regulation says. And yes, you may have consent with the fact that there are reps of GTech on the various university councils and they don't draw attention to what could be a misstep. But the final person who's supposed to sign off looks at it and says that, okay, this is going against the regulations, and so it has to be stepped down. There's a difference in if that is his sole decision and if that is actually what the regulation says. You'd agree?
So let me restate this so that it's clear in the minds of everybody. I am not admitting that these issues are necessarily breaches, but I'm saying that even if a council makes a decision that the regulator thinks it is not right, it is not the power of GTech to reverse that decision. Okay? GTech doesn't have the power to reverse that decision. The power GTech has is to write to the council and tell the council that your decision breaches regulation A, B, and C. So kindly take a second look and revert. I think this is where we know we are not getting there.
Right.
I am saying that even if a council makes a decision that goes contrary to a regulation, GTech has no power to reverse it. The power GTech has is to write to the council and point out to them, your actions constitute a breach of A, B, C, and D. So take a second look and revert. That is what we are complaining about. It is not that if a university is doing the wrong thing, they should. And I'm saying that under the act, that's not GTech. If GTech writes to the council and council refuses to do the needful, the GTech has the power to recommend sanctions against the university to the minister. Okay, this is a communication channel. GTech can recommend sanctions of any university to the minister. It is the minister who has the power to say, University A, we have been apprised of the fact that you did A, B, C, and D that breaches regulations C, D, and F. You have been given a chance to correct it. You have not. So I am applying sanction A, B, C, and D to you. It is not GTech that has the power to do that. That is what I'm pointing out right now.
Right. Kindly wrap up so that I'll come in.
I'm saying this is what has been a contention. They think they have the powers to do what they are doing, but the regulations are clear. They don't.
Right. In what ways does the decision by GTech, writing and asking the University of Ghana, for instance, not to charge students new fees, also come in here? Because I'm just receiving a message and someone is saying that, look, one of the many reasons why you are doing this is that he wrote to the University of Ghana and said, you are charging unapproved fees, reverse it. Otherwise, I will take action against you. And it's one of the many reasons why you're on this tangent. You charged illegal fees. GTech wrote to you and made it public that, look, reverse it by X dates or action be taken against you. And all of that culminating to perhaps one of the reasons why we're here and we're having this conversation.
Well, thank you very much. It's interesting. So, one, this if I were a GTech boss, when that incident happened, I would have resigned. You know why? GTech boss told the whole world that the UG is charging unapproved fees. Okay? Now, GTech boss has direct access to the management of the university. They never try to reach out to find out whether that statement is true. When fees are going to be charged, fees are approved by council. And I'm saying that the council has GTech rep on that council. And so if you think that a fee is going to be charged, that fee has to be approved by council. Now, in this instance, what turns out to be happening was the LSRC doing a project and having gone through their own consultative process had increased the SRC dues, not fees. You see, people are mischievous when it comes to these matters. UG never increased any school fees. General Paul knows that UG had requested for fee increase, which he had turned down without going to Parliament. If he actually took the letter that UG sent to Parliament, he provide evidence that indeed he went to Parliament and Parliament said they are not willing to increase school fees. There are many people within the chain who do not know that UG actually pleaded with government for some increase in the school fees. Having turned down that, he goes round and says that UG, you are charging unapproved fees, and so reverse it by whatever date. Let Ahmed Jinapor tell me, show me which part of his regulation gives him power to ask universities to reverse even school fees increase. Let the person who sent you, let the person point out to me which part of GTEC's Act gives them power to do so. But I'm saying that that statement turned out to be hoax because UG had never increased school fees. The SRC and GRASAC dues that were increased were not increased by the university. The university doesn't have control over SRC dues or GRASAC dues. The university is only a conduit for collecting those monies and ensuring that the students use it the right way. But is the only
an argument can be made that SRC executive, GRASAC executives, they sit on the university council, and so that would have come up for a conversation.
They before any such act happen, they have a senate. It has to go through all that before it gets to the dean of students, gets to university management, for everybody to sign up on it before it even comes to council. And at council, they have to justify, why they want to increase. For example, in this instance, the students are saying that, look, government is not providing enough hostel facilities for us. We as students, we are willing to levy ourselves a one-time, payment and put up a hostel which we will not enjoy, but which our younger brothers and sisters will come and enjoy. If you sit on the university council and the students come up and say, this is what we want to do, and this is why we allow us to charge a one-time premium for us to be able to put up such a hostel to ease the burden of government. Don't forget, it is government's responsibility to provide these things, which government is not doing. So let's help ease the government's burden, because after all, government has taken us through school, through the free SHS program. Government is giving us free first year, school fees refund and all that. So allow us to help ease government's burden by charging ourselves, a token, which we are going to use to put up a hostel that other Ghanaian students will come and enjoy. My brother, what is wrong with that?
But it has to go through a process.
Why you think this is wrong? That council should have rejected it. And so if you, Ahmed, had an issue with it, why didn't he find out what is the nature of fees that UG was charging? Why do you go and say that UG is charging unapproved fees and so it must reverse it? SRC dues is not school fees. GRASAC dues is not school fees. I beg you. And I know that they know exactly what they were doing. You see, so look, when you intentionally damage the international reputation of institutions that you are supposed to regulate, you are being mysterious.
Well,
so
that brought international disrepute to the University of Ghana.
Absolutely. You think that an institution that is rogue? You see, people don't get these things. If you are a funding agency and you are giving money to institutions that are not regulated, institutions that can wake up and disrespect government regulations and all that, do you think that institution is worth dealing with? What they don't know is that these things, they do it for fun because they don't really think about it deeply. But these things damage the international reputations of universities. Withdrawing accreditation at the whims of somebody, accusing universities of breaching regulations, it doesn't augur well for our international image. People come here. Christina Cook, do you think that if the University of Ghana was this rogue, Christina Cook, who is now being an ambassador of Ghana, going to space and putting Ghana flag there, should we have been proud to be attending the University of Ghana? Do you think that she would have been proud if the University of Ghana were this rogue? We should be serious in this country for once. That you cannot do things out of malice. It was a malicious thing that he did, and he knows it. Because if he wasn't sure, he could have picked the phone and called Professor Nanaba and asked, VC, I am hearing that you've charged unapproved fees. Is that the case? Is that not the case? He's a good friend to Professor Wandare. He could have called, even if he couldn't get VC, he could have called Pro VC, Professor Wandare, and asked. It was mischievous that he put out that statement. Why should a regulator be interested in tarnishing the reputation of a university?
Two quick questions from me in relation to this, and then perhaps we can wrap it up. When you say malice, because it's not just the University of Ghana we're talking about the University of Cape Coast. What possibly could be malice on the side of the GTech boss against universities he's supposed to be regulating? What possibly could be malice?
No. So let me put my statement in context. In the UG case is what I'm talking about. The UG, he indicating that UG was charging unapproved fees without finding out from management whether that was true. I think I'm saying it's malicious, because he could have easily asked and be told that that's not the case, and he didn't. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the UCC case.
Right.
I have not ascribed malice to what happened at UCC.
Right. 14 days is the ultimatum you're giving government. What happens in that 14 days if nothing happens and he continues to be in his position?
Well, we have so many arsenals at our disposal already. The Ministry of Education has set up a 3-member committee to investigate the allegations of, what UTAG is saying, which, is a bit unfortunate, because before we sent the petition to the president, we went to his office and we told him, and he said he was going to do this. He didn't do it. Now he's done it. So some action is being taken in the first place. But let me tell you, and let me put on a record, GTech cannot function without UTAG. The accreditation that GTech does, a lot of consultations and all that GTech does, that makes its work tick, is done by UTAG members. And so if UTAG were to say that we have withdrawn all services to GTech, they are crippled. Okay, so we have so many arsenals that we can deploy, to make sure that, these people are out of office. Because, you see, there was somebody there in the GTech office, Professor Salifu, whose deputy happened to be Ahmed Jinapor. We never had this chaos in higher educational space. So let's not create the impression that it is because of the act. It is because of these individuals. And it's because they fail to listen to anybody. They think what they are doing is right, and therefore they will do whatever they like. But that is not right. Within the law, GTech must be the one upholding institutional autonomy. GTech must be the one advising government to increase clearance for university lecturers to be recruited. They have set a threshold for student-lecturer, ratio. When you point it out to them, that one, they are mute about it. They are supposed to be the one looking for money for higher education institutions to run, or at least help universities to raise money to run. They are not doing any of those things. And so if you tell me that because they are going after people with fake degrees, we should all be rising up and clapping for them, yes, it's part of their job that they are supposed to do. But it's not the core business they are supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so we are just saying that, well, if push comes to shove, we all know what will happen.
Right.
We have laid our issues bare. We need an ally to regulate the Act 1023. We have made that clear to the minister, and we are making that demand, because that will ensure that whoever occupies the office next, doesn't misbehave. That's one of the demands that we make. We take decisions based on what our members, say, and therefore we will consult our members and deploy the right mechanisms if a 14-day ultimatum is not needed.
Doc, I'll just ask you to hold the line for me briefly, so that Johnny was my colleague who was making the comment earlier, and he wants just one right of response in terms of the perspective on this matter, Johnny.
Sure.
Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
You are not Prof. I called you Prof. You answered that you are Prof. This is what GTech has been trying to fight. And that is where some of us who are also aspiring for higher knowledge look at. Number two, I am not a panelist, I'm a journalist. Now, I hold in my hand a document that's about authored on the 13th of April 2026 from the Ministry of Education. It's a press statement, actually. Honorable Minister for Education established 3-member committee to investigate allegations by the University Teachers Association of Ghana. Now, it says, 1, the Ministry of Education has taken notice of the concerns raised by the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, at the recent press conference. 2, the Honorable Minister for Education has formed a 3-member committee to investigate UTAG allegation and related matters and make appropriate recommendation for Excellency John Dramani Mahama. 3, The committee is chaired by the Deputy Minister for Education, Honorable Clement Apak, is Doctor, PhD, and composed of Professor George K.T. Odro, Technical Advisor to the Minister of Education, or Ministry of Education, sorry, and the Board Chairman of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Professor Mahama Duejua. 4. The Ministry wishes to appeal to all parties concerned to extend their full cooperation to the committee as it undertakes the important assignment. We remain committed to constructive dialogue and to resolve all outstanding issues in the best interest of tertiary education in Ghana. Signed by Hashmin Mohammed, Press Secretary to the Honorable Minister of Education. What have you to say about this?
Well, I thank you. Let me also say that at no place have I indicated I'm a prof. I think that from the beginning, when your colleague addressed me as a prof, I indicated to him that I'm a doctor.
But I addressed you as prof and I greeted you and you said, good morning,
but
prof.
What I'm saying is that, you see, so we're supposed to interrupt you and say, no, doc. I mean, so just for the record, I'm not interested in titles. If you ask those who know me, I don't like being addressed as doc. I hate it. I mean, with passion for that matter.
Doc, I'm not angry.
Oh, no,
and I'm not agitated either. I'm just saying that we are all humans. We are fallible. Things can happen.
I totally understand. And I'm saying that I'm not taking offense. I'm just saying that, just for the record's sake, if I ascribe myself to that, then you could use that to accuse me of something. But let me also mention that in my discussion that before we submit a petition to the presidency, so maybe what hasn't come out clear is that more than a month ago, UTAG submitted a petition to the Office of Chief of Staff to the presidency on these matters. We never invited the media because we wanted the matter to be settled quietly. Before we did that, we went to the Minister for Education and complained to him about these issues and what actions we are going to take. And he promised that he would set up a committee to look into these issues. So, well, we are not surprised that he set up the committee, but I'm saying that before long, these issues have been in the public domain for a very long time. And so I am more than convinced that there have enough evidence to deal with this matter without even setting up a committee. But if, for procedural sake, you want to set up a committee, fact-finding, whatever it is, to probe, the issues, I mean, the facts are there. We have no difficulty cooperating, with a committee to ensure that these things we are talking about, are highlighted. The letters that they've been written, there are copies all over the place, and GTEC Act is there for everybody to read and understand. And we think that these are, so yeah, we as UTAG, we don't have any difficulty cooperating with the committee. All that we are saying is that these issues have been there, not today, not yesterday, they've been there for a very long time. Many of them have had cause to worry about some of the decisions and actions that these people have taken. And so we are ready whenever they are ready. But unfortunately, the ultimatum still holds.
So if somebody says that you have a personal issue with Professor Jinapor, that's why you're going on this route, what do you say?
I am speaking for UTAG. I'm not speaking for myself. If I had a personal issue with him, maybe I'll invite him to some corner and then we'll fight it out. There's no reason for me to be in the media.
Oh, you fight too?
I don't know the man personally. I don't see how I can have a personal issue. He hasn't done anything personally to me. I mean, unless you can show that he's done something personally to me. He hasn't done anything personally to me.
Doc, consider this as well. Ghana Association of University Administrators, is dated the 8th of April 2026. Maybe I'll let Marina read that for us, so you get a firm understanding of what it is.
So, request for GOA and UTAG to pay courtesy call, that's by the Ghana Education Tertiary Commission on the 8th of April, and the Ghana Association of University Administrators, GOA, and the University Teachers Association of Ghana UTAG chapters at the University of Energy and Natural Resources Union right to congratulate you on your appointment as the Director General of GTEC. UTAG and GOA have admired your leadership and dynamic changes since your appointment as Director General The two unions from the University of Energy have not paid a courtesy call on you. Consequently, we write to request a meeting with you and your office between Monday, April 20 and Friday, April 25, or any day that may be convenient for you to strengthen our working relations. This is from another university association, all within, and so it will ask questions as to, as UTAG is complaining, others are asking to want to meet Professor Jinapor, and so where lies the validity in terms of the concerns that you raise is what this letter is seeking to suggest.
Well, my brother, I think that you will be overstretching the argument if you say that a union requesting to pay a courtesy call necessarily means that the people are doing everything right. I think that let's not overstretch, the argument. Everybody has the right to pay a courtesy call on anybody. We as UTAG, we paid a courtesy call on people. Don't forget that when this issue of fake degrees started, UTAG issued a statement commending GTEC for doing the needful. Okay, just go and check. We are not hypocrites. Where you do the right thing, we will commend you. But where you also do the wrong thing, we are not afraid to call you out. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It doesn't read any meaning.
So Doc,
I think they
Doc
have the right to do whatever they want to do.
So right? Doc, if Professor Jinapor and his team goes, how does that benefit UTAG?
How does it benefit UTAG?
Yes, sir.
Well, you see, what we are saying is that it is their temperament and style that is creating disharmony in the higher educational space. And so we are hoping that whoever comes in will be vetted for their, not just their qualification, but their temperament and other things, so that we can have proper framework within which to work. We are requesting that it is because they have not listened to anybody and they've decided to do things the way they want. That's why this chaos is happening in the higher education space.
So do you have a suitable candidate?
We do not have any vested interest. We want somebody who will listen to us, who will operate within the law. And that is why we're also asking for the airline to be enacted, because I think that without the airline, there is the possibility for people to abuse, office. Power is sweet. So when people get power, sometimes it gets into their heads. So all that we are saying is that we have interacted with these people, we have dealt with them, we've tried our very best to collaborate with them in ensuring that higher education space has peace and harmony to work.
What do you say if we say Dr. Joe Jerry Harrison, UTAG Secretary Unionist, should be the new GTEC boss? What do you say to that?
I'm not going to take it. With all due respect.
You don't like posts?
I'm not doing it because I want to be, GTEC boss. I have so much work, on my hand that it's not something that I can even consider. Thank you very much.
Right, Doc, I appreciate you for joining us this morning here on the 3FM Sunrise.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
That's Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison. He is the secretary, the general secretary of UTAG, speaking to us this morning. Quite the conversation we've had this morning. It's time for us to get into sports. Bill is here as well.
Otuado is gone.
We
have a new one.
Carlos Queiroz.
Lumambuge Numbaliche.
Carlos.
Yeah. Does he inspire confidence? I'm going to be very direct. Does he inspire confidence going into this World Cup? Because
I think it's only uncle. Slow down. Change your facial expression. Now answer.
To be honest, this is the biggest name appointment this current GFA has ever made. Ever. When it comes to
Ketokreku
management.
Okay.
This is the biggest name appointment they've ever made. Carlos Queiroz's experience trumps a lot of coaches in the world at the moment. I mean, he's passed through Manchester United as assistant to Ferguson. He's coached Real Madrid before. He's coached the Egypt national team in AFCON 2021 when they reached the final. He's won trophies at youth level.
Charlie, how much are we paying him? That's what they got.
As an assistant.
Don't mind Phil. How much are we paying him?
How much are we paying him? What we understand is in excess of $100,000.
Okay.
Yes.
What's this?
$100,000. excess of $100,000
every month.
Yes. But what do you expect? Johnny, what do you expect?
Bill, I asked a direct question.
Yes.
Whether or not this inspires
Has he
confidence.
won a trophy before?
I think it does.
What confidence does it bring
I
to the
believe-
table?
I believe it does. This is a kind of name that can easily command a
No,
dressing room.
it is.
Easily.
It is what he has done elsewhere. That is what will guarantee the 100,000 that we're going to pay him. Every
No,
month.
as for the pedigree, he comes with a lot of pedigree
lot.
into that $100,000.
This is a
that
big name.
$100,000. Yeah.
$100,000.
Yeah. Football is big business. It's big,
Johnny,
big
Johnny,
business.
imagine this.
Why didn't I play football?
Yeah.
Johnny, imagine this. You sacked your coach 2 months in the World Cup. Every coach out there knows you are desperate for a new coach. So they will charge higher. It's only fair.
I'm not even looking at it from every coach knowing you're desperate, because it was quite the interest, right? We had to pick out of a lot.
Yeah.
My concern is if this is a name that brings confidence, this is a name that turns our fortunes around at the World Cup. Is a question that is the only question I'm asking, because
I
when
firmly
all
believe
is said and done,
I firmly believe it is.
we will ask the question: do we make it out of the group? It's a question.
Charlie, does this new coach,
Yes.
Carlos
Yeah.
Queiroz,
Yeah.
is that the name?
Yeah.
Does he know that he has 35 million Ghanaians who are deputy coaches to him? Does he know?
Oh, I'm sure he knows.
Has he been told?
I'm sure he knows.
Okay, that's fine.
Don't worry, he'll be fine. Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Well, we'll get into all of that and we'll see how it all pans out. Bela Shen is here. He'll do sports for us, after which we're back with a bit more for you here on the 3FM Sunrise. Stay with us.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sports here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. My name is Bill Ishen. Let's start off with some news from the Black Stars camp, because the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association, working with all key stakeholders, have appointed Carlos Queiroz as the head coach of the senior national team, the Black Stars. The former Real Madrid, Manchester United, Portugal, and Iran coach will lead Ghana's campaign at the 2026 World Cup. Here's all you need to know about the veteran coach put together by the head of 3 Sports, Rico Ampofu.
And so in the end, it's Carlos Queiroz who has been appointed as the new head coach of the Black Stars. A very experienced coach in his 70s. When he started coaching in 1989, I wasn't born. And so definitely his experience was one of the reasons why he was chosen. But what stood out in the end was his experience on the continent, not just the fact that he's managed clubs like being an assistant to Manchester United twice, has managed Portugal. That mattered, but not as much as the fact that he's already managed South Africa from 2000 to 2002, and then also Egypt in 2021, where he led them to the AFCON final and he lost to Senegal, and unfortunately a few months later lost to Senegal again on penalties for the World Cup qualifying playoffs as well. So he has experience with the continent. In fact, back in 2018, he actually applied for the Cameroon job, and so Africa is a continent that he loves, and in the end that was the difference for him. He comes in with World Cup experience as well. He is the longest serving manager for Iran, has been there for 8 years, split across 3 different spells, where in all 3 spells he's been with them at the World Cup as well. And so the World Cup is not new to him, but it's the first time that he would be going to the World Cup with an African country, and he has limited time, as there's really no time to settle, as he has to name his provisional squad in the next few days as well. So work begins for Carlos Queiroz. Remember, it's a short-term deal, and a lot would depend on how he performs in Ghana at the World Cup.
That was a report by Uriku Ampofo. Away from the Black Stars, let's do some more. A dark cloud has been cast over Ghana football following a tragic incident involving Brecum Chelsea. What began as a routine journey back home after a league defeat ended in horror after the team was attacked by armed robbers. An incident that has claimed the life of one of their players, Dominic Frimpong. This report has more.
On Sunday evening, players of Brecum Chelsea began what should have been a routine journey back home after a narrow 1-0 defeat to Samatex. But that trip will take a tragic turn, one that has left the entire Ghanaian football community in shock. Traveling in the VIP bus, the team encountered 6 armed men along the route. In the chaos that followed, players and officials scrambled for safety. However, 20-year-old winger Dominic Frimpong, who had joined the club on loan from Aduana FC, was caught in the crossfire and tragically lost his life.
Uncle Fonisweba, or more attack here with gun, no more to gunshot, Eba. And see, young girls not having no, or Balvet, no more words, will grace you, Gunny. And to that time, they now quite run for your life, no, yeah, then, to be a Gunny. And the unfortunately, nay, or backseat into a Yakonan Pintin. And now Dominic is known as why then what that. Into you know the echoes be a room into your own market that none cran and you grant then on us be a sorry on us here then or sorry because I can Dominic Pino no crow 2 step or 3 bars him Landy from Nana bullet in a can into and man and or Daho.
This is not an isolated incident. In November 2023, players and officials of Legon Cities were ambushed by armed robbers on the Bibiani Kumasi Highway after a Ghana Premier League fixture. Earlier in March 2022, Ashanti Gold also fell victim to a similar attack at Asinindra while returning to Obuasi from an Accra-based match. And in 2019, Division 1 League side Asokwa Deportivo were attacked near Jacobu en route to Prestia, though they escaped without physical harm. A troubling pattern is emerging, one that continues to cast a shadow over domestic football. These repeated incidents have raised serious concerns about the safety and travel arrangements of local clubs across the country.
Very painful. Very, very painful. Ordinarily, everybody would say, oh, well, why don't these clubs sleep over after these games? But a lot of planning goes into it. Sometimes it's difficult, and we don't have the resources to sleep over in such situations. Secondly, it's necessary that we get police in our buses when we are going for these games. We know the numbers are a little stretched, but we have to do something about it at some point to make sure that we have enough security on the bus when we are traveling, especially at night.
In the aftermath of the tragedy, messages of support have poured in from across the football fraternity, including the Ghana Football Association and several clubs. The Ghana Police Service has since launched an investigation with efforts underway to track down and apprehend the perpetrators. Meanwhile, the rest of the Brecum Chelsea squad have safely returned home thanks to transportation support from BBN Gold Stars. But for these players, the trauma of that night and the loss of a teammate is one they will carry for a very long time.
Indeed, a tragic incident involving Brecum Chelsea and leading to the death of one of their own, Dominic Frimpong. We still have some other stories coming your way, starting from former Arsenal footballer Thomas Partey, who has pleaded not guilty to 2 new allegations of rape. The 32-year-old appeared at Southwark Crown Court on Monday to deny twice raping a woman in London on a day in December 2020. The midfielder, who left Arsenal for Villarreal last summer, was charged in July last year with 5 counts of rape and 1 allegation of sexual assault dating back to 2021 and 2022. He previously pleaded not guilty to those charges, and the trial was set for November this year. The 2 new rape charges were announced in February this year, and on Monday, Judge Tony, the recorder of Westminster, agreed for all allegations to be tried together.
is expected to face England in the World Cup this summer as an integral part of Ghana national team. Now, before we head over to Europe, let's take a moment for boxing. Ghanaian boxer Theophilus Papo Alute, who recently defeated Namibia's Jonas Erastus to win the WBA Africa Super Flyweight title, has now set his sights on becoming a world champion. Alute, who secured his 7th round technical knockout, told 3 Sports that his ultimate dream is to bring a world title to Ghana.
I'm aiming for a world title shot, and the opponent that my coach mentioned their name, they are the people who win the world title, so I have to be more focused on them. And now I'm in the world ranking, 1 to 15, I'm in, so I have to look up to those kind of boxers who are there, because they are also aiming for the world title shot. So if I have a challenge with them, I have to fast through them before I can meet the opponent. So I'm not just only watching those 2 people, but more focused on those 2 people because they are holding the world title.
That was Theophilus Alute. He spoke exclusively to 3 Sports. Now in Europe, Hansi Flick is expressing absolute confidence that Barcelona can overturn their 0-2 deficit against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League quarter-final second leg on Tuesday. Despite the uphill battle, Flick maintains that the tie is not over yet.
I have the feeling that this is totally different because the atmosphere in the stadium will be unbelievable. So the fans, they know what happens or what is necessary, and it's tough for us. But of course also I believe in my team. I believe in that we can make it happen, and it's possible. It's possible. Why not? So this is focus, and I know we play against a strong Atletico. They have fantastic players also in the offense. So we need a very strong and stable defense, but also we have to be brave in the offense. So we have to attack, we have to press, we have to maybe use every chance. It's I think this is when you see the last game, it's the difference between them and us. But at the end, it's like that. Maybe tomorrow is totally different, and then I will be happy.
That was Hansi Flick speaking. Also in England, Liverpool FC find themselves in a similar situation and are looking to overturn a 2-0 deficit as they host Paris Saint-Germain at home. Despite a run of 4 performances, head coach Arne Slot remains optimistic.
Now, just first of all, remind them what the score was. That was 2-0. Where it felt completely different, as we all know, but the end result was 2-0. And second of all, we've shown so many times this season in big games that we are able to get a great performance. We've also shown a different face. I'm completely aware of that, but many of our games that we've played were very good as well, especially in big games. And not all of them, because not all of us are together for 1.5 years, but for the ones that have been with me for in the past 1.5 years, in the 49 home games we've played, 36 times we were able to score 2 goals or more. So yes, we did not play in all these 49 games against Paris Saint-Germain. I do understand that, but as we all know, the Premier League and the Champions League opponents we had over here were also very strong and are very strong. So yes, there's a belief that we can do special things tomorrow. But we also need to be very, 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 very special tomorrow to achieve that, because we're playing against the champions of Europe. So that makes the task more complicated, but not impossible.
That was Arne Slot speaking. Before we go, still some news from England. Noah Okafor fired Leeds into a long-awaited 2-1 win over 10-man Manchester United at Old Trafford as the Premier League stragglers boosted their bid to avoid relegation on Monday. Casemiro did get one back for United, but Leeds held on to their first win against United since the shock 2010 FA Cup success when they were in the 3rd tier. Here's Michael Carrick, United head coach, after that game.
We didn't start the game particularly well. We obviously conceded, which Lenny Yoro gets a forearm smash in the back of his head, and then they score the first goal. So didn't decide to overturn that decision. So that was a big moment in the game. We didn't quite have the rhythm. We didn't click. We had some moments, but it wasn't quite there for large parts of the first half. And then second half, I thought the boys the way they went around it and stayed positive and fought for everything and tried to get something out of the game after another shocking decision to send Leach off. 2 games in a row we've had decisions like that go against us, but that one I have to say was one of the worst I've seen.
That was Michael Carey speaking, bringing our lens to sports here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. My name is Bill Leshen. We'll see you same time tomorrow with more updates from the world of sports. Until then, have a great morning.